Hello everyone. So I was really inspired by the Simon Says Stamp card kit of the month for, I believe it was April. Although I was late to the game. I didn't realize I wasn't subscribed anymore, so I didn't get it. It was sold out. But they did still have this beautiful stamp set that one can purchase, Poppy Perfection 6x8 clear stamp set, which is the stamp set that was included in the card kit of the month. However, the papers were all sold out, which I did love the papers as well. But I picked up the stamp set, and since I was inspired by the colors and things, it's not the same, but I found this paper booklet really, on Amazon. I've never worked with anything like this before. It's, you know, scrapbook paper in an 8.5 by 11 inch booklet. And so I picked that up because I love the red, I love red poppies, I loved the greens, and so it wasn't the same, but I thought I could work with it. Now, I was a little disappointed in that this polka dot is bigger than it looks right here, you know. So this right here isn't exactly to scale on the papers. I will give you a quick flip through of these, what's left in the book. I have pulled some out already. And then this is what the back looks like. It looks like something, you know, one could publish themselves, and maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But the paper also it's not so much glossy, but it does have, can you see a little, if I wiggle it, a little bit of a sheen. I don't love that. So it's not, it is matte, but it's not, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like newspaper. It's got a little bit more of a sheen to it, and so it's a little more slick. Oh boy, I don't know if that's, hopefully that makes sense. So here's that polka dot, and it's just a little bit big to be settled on a card in the background. That was somewhat disappointing. And then so they're double-sided, 8.5 by 11 inch sheets, so you get a lot to work with. You could do a lot of different things with this, and there is some repeating of patterns. So some of the ones this has a different pattern on the back. I'm not sure what the logic is entirely, because most of them have a different pattern on the back, but then there were a couple of them that had, like these ones have like the same pattern on the back. So the three of them each have the same. Anyway, I love this one. It's so pretty. And it's slightly different on the back. You can see it's got the buds. This is a nice one here. I love that one. Very nice. So, there's that polka dot again. This one, and then for whatever reason, there's two blank. This is like paper, printer paper type, slightly heavier than standard. And then it says made in, whoops, you can't see that. Made in the United States, so that's something. Woohoo! It's hard to find something made in America when, you know. And these are two that I pulled out that I didn't end up using. So obviously, I mean, I wasn't trying really hard to pull it out straight because I was making cards, so I didn't need the full 8.5 by 11. If you did need the full sheet, you'd have to really separate it from the book and be a lot more careful than I was. I also used a couple other papers. I'll mention them in the cards when we get to it. So the first card, most of them I've done with a top fold. I think I did one that was a side fold because it was a landscape orientation. So I have my card base that I've made out of, I think it's 110 pound or 100 pound Nina Solar White. And then here's that polka dot one, which I did end up using as background. This is the other side. Beautiful. Hard to use that, but that's the one I had cut up. And I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on. I'm just using this tape runner that I don't like because it's too sticky, but I have it. I have to be extra careful with that tape runner. This is the full, I think, yeah, I forgot that it's the full panel, so I want to make sure I do that right. So now I'm going to pull in some just black cardstock here, and I was kind of toying with putting it on straight or crooked, and I think I'm going to do crooked. So you see how, since the pattern's not super small, a lot of it gets covered up on a card. Oops. I think that's okay. now, at this point, I wanted... Now, there weren't dies in the Simon Says stamp kit that I remember, but I have this fabulous die. It says Sheena by Sheena Douglas. I'm hoping that I actually wrote it down. Sometimes I'm good about referencing, because here's the die set. So this is the poppy. Isn't that great? And it comes with, you know, the stem, this piece that you cut out twice to make the petals, this little bud, this part is this circle here, this part is that part there, and a nice leaf. So I used that on this card because I have a nice die. And I used random scraps of paper and put this together. And I love that Bow Bunny dot paper. Oops, it's double-sided, but I think this might be the last of this one. I might have to go see if I can find some more somewhere. It's hard to find. Maybe scrapbook.com. Sometimes it's hard to find things nowadays because of, you know, the internet. Okay, so let's put this actually, and I did use a little pop dot here, and I think, oh, I also brought in some, scatterbrain, some scrap ribbons, which if I was really thinking about it, dang, I should have put these on before the panel and I could have maybe wrapped it behind, but darn, I can't do that now. So I think I'm going to use some double-sided tape and hope for the best there. I am going to, this is a little bit wrinkly, but yeah, because it was just literally in a scrapbook, but I think it goes nicely. So I think I'm going to put a couple of these on behind the image. I'm going to put my poppy there, so we'll go ahead and try this. Maybe I want to trim it down ever so slightly first. Okay, so I'm hoping that this will hold. So I put 3 strips on there and I'll just pull them off. Try to get this straight here since it got crooked already. I'm gonna grab my and then I have this black strip, which I wanted to put down the center. Make sure I'm still in frame. But I kind of wanted to tie a little knot on it, so I think that'll be easier to do before gluing it down. Nothing too fancy, just kind of a bow with that's a knot. I think that looks nice, and then I'll trim the edges. This time I'm going to try to use some tacky glue. I want the bow more to the right, so I think that's probably good right there. Make sure I get it centered. Spread my glue around. This will take a minute or more to dry, but right now I can trim off my bow. There's kind of an ugly spot in this scrap here, so that's going to determine the size if I can get my hands around it here. Phew. Then I am going to put my poppy on the card. Let me actually move this so I have more room. I think my poppy can go kind of over here, and there will be dimension because of my dot here, and everything else is going to lay more flat. So this is almost finished. I mean, it just needs some time to dry, but this is how I'm going to leave it. A nice all-occasion card. Blank inside. I'm going to set it aside with the acrylic block on this dimensional part so that that can actually get stuck down. Alright, for card number 2, we again are starting with the white card base. This time I have put a panel of black cardstock that's to 4 by 5 1/4, so just smaller than that standard A2 size. And then I have 1/4 inch smaller around each edge this piece that is the polka dot background with this beautiful poppy side. You know I couldn't leave that, so I had to make a card with that. So these first two cards are using the same 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of patterned poppy paper, and I just cut it at 5.5, and I got two smaller panels out of it. So this is the start of our card. We're going to need a scrap of white cardstock. Pretty simple. This is great for a sentiment. If you want to put a sentiment on now, that would be good, because then if it gets smudged, you know, you can redo it, or, you know, you can save it for a die-cut sentiment. You can also leave this card blank as well. I'm leaving this white piece blank for now, because then I can add a sentiment at any time in the future. And then we're going to bring in that fabulous stamp set that I talked about, and these poppies are so beautiful, and they can be colored as well. So I have stamped this one. Which one is this? I believe it's this one right here, this large one. Oh no, maybe it's this one. No, I think it's this largest one here. And I stamped it out. I just trimmed off this part and colored it with my alcohol ink. So I used the Memento Tuxedo Black ink because it plays well with alcohol markers, and then colored this in. So you can have a look there. I think I used like 3 red markers, or maybe even just 2 red markers. Maybe 3, I can't remember. And just a black Sharpie, fine Sharpie, to color in that center part. And I have put this up on a little foam dot. Uh-oh. And it's going to live right here to finish off this card. And then I have room for a lovely small sentiment later. Alright, for the third card, I am bringing in some other paper from my stash. This is from the Tonic Studios. I probably got this in a Tonic craft kit a long time ago. This is the Rainbow Fever pad, which it has double-sided sheets. I was just digging through my stash to find something that went well with this green in the stem for the poppy, but I didn't want anything too plain. I wanted something with a little pattern, and I really liked this kind of lattice pattern that you get on this paper. So definitely look through the stash to find something. If you want like a little more interest, you could also try embossing with a dry embossing card, folder, not card, plain pattern paper if you only had cardstock, and just gives it that little bit of more interest on the side there. So there's this beautiful, beautiful pattern paper. The other side was this. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to put that down on this piece. So this pattern piece is cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than on the sides than the card base, because I just wanted a very tiny border. And then we have a full 1/4 inch border on each side, so that makes this piece is a 1/2 inch smaller cut than the patterned panel. Then for the sentiment, I'm just going to take a nice black strip of cardstock to go down here. Nice place to put that sentiment, and this lovely piece of red cardstock. I had to really hunt because the poppy it's a little bit of a warmer red to find the right one. I think it's not a perfect match here, but I think it goes pretty well. And then I'm going to, before I put that down, use the stamp set again. I believe it is maybe this one. And then the It's Your Day sentiment. And I have done that here in embossing. So I've done the It's Your Day in black with my Versamark Onyx Black ink, and then just clear embossing powder. And then this one, I think I stamped it out in Fired Brick Oxide ink, and then the clear embossing powder, because it has a hint of color. But it's possible I just used Versamark, the Watermark ink. I can't honestly remember now. I definitely suggest taking a scrap and trying out, you know, before you commit to it. But basically the idea on this one was I wanted tone on tone for the poppy, nice and subtle, and then nice and black for the sentiment. And for this one, it's the same size. Let me see if I can get this to work. Same length. I just want a little border of black peeking out at the top and bottom. So I liked that look. Very sticky, my little tape runner is so sticky. So then let's just find a nice spot for this. It's going to end up covering up a lot of that bloom, but that's okay. And this is just cut to the length or width of this inner panel, this pattern panel. And this is a beautiful card with lots of lots of interest, but not a lot of dimension. That's what I was trying to say. This one's a great one to mail. No need for extra postage. So if your recipient is far away, you can use just a little bit of embossing powder to really give it something extra without adding a lot of dimension. So that's a great thing to remember there. So for this card, I've taken black cardstock and covered the full front of the card. Again, I'm just using the white cardstock for the base. It's easier to write on. And remember this pattern paper? It's so stunning. It's just so beautiful, and it's just black and red. Love that. And this was the other side, so this one we're going to put on here. Just a nice little black border we're leaving. And the challenge with this card, the real challenge I had was, okay, what to do with the sentiment, because I love this look right here. But, well, and you could do white ink, but then there's no other white in the front of the card. So, and I tried embossing red, it just doesn't pop on black. So I'm gonna I found a decently close red. I don't have a lot of this red in my cardstock stash to put on here so that my sentiment can stand out. That was the real challenge with this card. And I've gone ahead and taken the stamp set again. This time I'm using Love and Hugs, and then this beautiful bud bloom here to get my sentiment stamped out. Not a ton of room. Those are kind of wide stamps for a smaller sentiment, but so a little bit of my G's off, but I'm okay with that. And I'm going to stick this on. Oh good, I wasn't sure if I was lining that up well enough. Getting glue everywhere. So I'm going to go all the way to the edge here. I hate covering up beautiful blooms, but that's going to happen again. The nice thing is that there are more of the blooms throughout the card. And again, this is a great one to mail. It's flat, but it's got a lot of beautiful interest in the card. And this is it for this card. Alright, for card number 5, we have the side folding card base that I was telling you about, because this one's the landscape one. And I've dug through my stash, and boy, I wish I had more of this forest green cardstock, but I found a piece. And I think it goes very nicely with this piece of pattern paper. This was the one with kind of the big blue picture bloom on the back. I'm going to use this side. And then I have a piece of white cardstock and a piece of red that goes. This poppy has more of a cooler pinkish hue to it, so it works better with this piece here. Ah, I'm battering my poor panel. That's what I get for side-tracking before I put it on. Okay, so for this one, you probably guessed that I'm going to put it down here. I think, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's just that red cardstock with the white on it. This is going to go across the full width of the panel. Maybe slightly lower there. Now this would be a great place for sentiment, although this card is going to be kind of a blank all occasion. So again, I'm pulling in this lovely stamp set. It's getting a lot of use. And alcohol markers again. This time I believe... Is that this bloom? Yes. This bottom one here I've used for, and I've kept some of the stem. So for coloring this one, I think I just used the two darker red markers, not the more orangey, poppy colored one, and then a little bit of green, and then black in the center again. And I got it up on a little mounting dot. And then I have used two of these. Have two nice leaves that come in here. I just stamped, let's see, oh, it's not that one, it's this one right here. This one right here, and I just stamped it out twice. Because, I don't know, I had both of them, but the way I'm going to use it, you'll see, I liked it better with the same image. And then I've colored that out in the green, different green alcohol marker. I think I used two green alcohol markers. And tried to cut around it. There's no way I could completely cut this out. It's just too delicate, so I tried to leave a little bit of white. It goes because I have the white. This is not great fussy cutting, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to put these here. One of them's kind of upside down and the other's not. I want them equidistant. So let me try to find the center here. Actually, I think I might actually want to do that. Where's my ruler? If you've ever watched this channel for some time, you'll know I love this ruler. I love that it has a centering feature. And, you know, it's clear, so it works great. So this is, I'm using the centering feature of this ruler. That is probably going to get covered up, and I don't even know if you can see it on camera. I've just put a little dot there, and then I can make sure I get my leaves close enough and balanced. We're going to just set that there as a placeholder right across the center marking, because I kind of want, oh, my hands are shaking. I kind of want this actually a little further in there. I like that, moving this. Then press that down and clean up my glue mess. I do love this stamp set, so if you don't have a great poppy stamp set, I would recommend it. It's great for coloring, all kinds of stuff. So here's our poppy that is colored with alcohol marker. And it gets popped up right in the center. And that is going to be it for this card. Isn't that lovely? Simple. It's great for any occasion. And you can put a different sentiment on the inside for whatever you need it to be. Alright, card number 6 is another sort of one that gave me a challenge. Oh, and I have it upside down. It's top folding. I've used this very large print, and I love it. I love that, just like that. So the hard thing is, what do I cover up? What do I do with this beautiful image? So I toyed with using ribbon down here, but my ribbon just wasn't looking great. So then I ended up just using cardstock, which is maybe more accessible anyway. Then I have pulled in another die. This was from a previous Simon Says stamp card kit, and it's got the shadow and the word die, and it cuts out the word hugs. So I've cut out the hugs in black and the shadow background here in vellum, because then it doesn't cover up as much of the card. So let's go ahead and take, I've got this black cardstock with the white cardstock, and I cut the tails. You know I like doing that. So we got to cover up some of this, but we don't have to cover up a lot of it. I think we're going to go just at the tip of this. Oops, throwing it around. This nice little bud here. And then I have taken the stamp set again. In addition to my hug sentiment, I really liked this cute little bloom here. And so I tried out, I have some vellum that you can actually heat emboss on. You have to be careful, not all vellum will take that. But I've heat embossed this bloom, this little bud, in black. And then I went ahead and just colored it in with the alcohol marker. Let me get nice and close so that you can see that. So it's still translucent, but it's got a lovely color. And then I fussy cut it out. And I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to put the hugs here. I need to put the hugs on first, I think. Well, yeah, that's probably good. And, ooh, how am I going to do this? I think I'm just going to put dots of glue in the back, where you can see where I attached it already. You can see little dots. I think I'm going to just try to put little dots there so that you don't see a lot of that adhesive coming through. It's got to be enough to hold it to the card. Okay, let's see how we do here. Got all our little dots on there. Right there. And, well, let me grab my little block. So there is some dimensions. I'm not sure how the top parts will adhere, but as long as it adheres to the top layer of white cardstock, that's probably good. Now, I've taken some fun foam here and tediously cut a tiny little circle out of it. That is for the back of my little poppy bloom. And this is adhesive backed, so you see that little backer? And this I'm going to put right here, just to give it just a little something extra. And because of that alcohol marker, you can't really even see that, so that's good. And I am going to try a little glue here, and let me just see. Hopefully these don't show through because of the alcohol marker hiding it. And actually, yeah, I'm going to put that. Ooh, do I want to tilt it? No, this is good enough. Put that back over there for one moment and see how we do. Okay, it's not quite dry yet, but you know I can't wait, right? So this is it for card number 6. I think it's turned out very nice. Alright, for card number 7, we're using this piece of pattern paper, which I already adhered to the card, but here is, this one here. It's got that on the back. Have a little white border there. And then I found this dark green cardstock for my stash that I think looks nice with this here. So I'm going to place this vertical panel down here. Again, we have the stamp set. In the stamp set, There's a very nice large bloom that goes from here to here. And it has, oops, I'm not even in frame. My apologies. There's a very nice large bloom that goes from here to here. It's got the leaf in it, it's got a bud, and it's got 2 blooms. So I think that's a good showstopper visual focal element for a card. And I stamped it out again with the Memento Tuxedo black ink and colored it in. This time I wasn't fussy cutting it, so I did get a little bit outside the lines, but I tried to fix that. It's pretty good. And then I have put it on to Fun Foam just to give it a little more dimension. And I think I'm going to put that around here. Before I do that, I did find these 2 tiny scraps of nice green ribbon, which I was thinking I'd do that. I could put one here and tie another one here. So let me go ahead and see if I can do that first. I think I did it. And I think for this card, I was looking all over for this. It's sitting right next to me on my desk because I've got this great holder that holds it, but whatever. Alright, I'm just going to do a strip along the back here of this double-sided tape here. And so the idea, I think, is that, let me fold a couple of these up. Okay, the idea is that I'm going to put it on this side and just tuck the backs behind. So I want to get my bow part where I want it. I think I want it, well, how about right there? And then yeah, that's working pretty well there. So you see what I did there? It's not attached on the front. I think I need to pull this one a little tighter if I can. Yeah. Is that better? A little bit. And then I need to trim my bow. There. So I don't have any glue on here. And now I can just glue the whole back on. Alright, I want this centered. It's hard to tell. I think that's about right. Put some weight on it, some real weight. Okay. Now for this card, I don't know, maybe you can tell the difference. I was still indecisive on how I wanted to finish it. Like, sentiment, no sentiment. That is card number 7. Let me bring them all back in real quick and you can have a look at it. So let me know in the comments, did you get the Simon Says Stamp card kit of the month? And that fabulous papers and the stamp set? Do you have the stamp set? Which one's your favorite card? Love to hear your thoughts and comments. Again, I hope you have a wonderful and creative day. Bye!